Okay, so we're going to be looking in this magazine, Learning to Skate in a War Zone. If you look up here, you'll see it's January 18th edition. And we're going to go on to pages 22 and 23. So let's see if I can do it this way. All right, here's pages 22 and 23. What we're going to be doing is answering these questions here. And we're going to be using this map to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read these questions. You might not see them as I'm reading through here, so that's the way we'll do. All right, so I'm going to zoom in. Okay, so now we've got an interesting view of the world here. This is at the top of the Earth. We're at the North Pole. And anything going below this would be traveling in a southerly direction. So you've got to kind of get your mind wrapped around that we're at the very tip top of the Earth, and anything away from that in any direction will be, you'll be heading south. Okay? Now we have a couple inset maps here. This is the Arctic sea ice in September of 1990. So you can see how the sea ice there is bigger than the sea ice here in September of 2020. So 1990 versus 2020, the same month. And then you can see the difference in the amount of sea ice in the same exact area. All right, it says polar maps Polar maps offer flattened views of Earth from directly above one of the two polar regions, the Arctic and the Antarctic. This polar map shows the North Pole, an imaginary point in the Arctic that is the farthest north possible on any map. The South Pole in the Antarctic is the farthest south. There is no land at the North Pole, only an ice cap. Polar maps are equidistant projections, maps that show water and land masses in relation to a central point. The map above has the North Pole as that point. So from any spot north is toward the center. So if you're going north, from this, so you're heading toward that center region. No matter which way you start from, to go north would be heading toward that center region. So we have a different perspective on this map, so we need to keep that in mind. Equidistant projections show direction and distance correctly, but land masses appear increasingly distorted as you move away from the center. All right, so it says polar view. This polar map shows the countries that have territory in the Arctic region. The inset maps compare the extent of sea ice in 1990 and in 2020. First, read about polar maps on the bottom of page 23. Then use this map and what you've learned to answer the questions below. So we've just read the bottom of page 23. So we're going to go ahead and work on these problems. It says, on this polar map, what is the northernmost point? If you need to, you can read this section down here because it tells you the northernmost point. But you can also look on this map and figure out what the northernmost point is on this map. Number 2. And by the way, remember, you could always pause at any time and look at your magazine and find these out, write the answer down, and then go to the next question. So rather than just listen to me go through all of them, you should listen to me go through one, pause it, figure it out, write the answer down. If you don't get the answer at the time and you kind of want to skip it and come back to it, circle that answer, circle that number on your magazine or on your paper that you're writing your answers down, and then come back to it and listen to this again. And if you still have problems with it, you could always ask. Number 2, part of which U.S. state, so we're talking about the 50 states, lies in the Arctic region? Okay. So we need to find the Arctic Circle. And right here is the Arctic Circle. And what I would do is I would go around that Arctic Circle and see which United States state is in this section. So it's got to be within these dotted lines, all the way around. It's got to be within this section here. It's a U.S. state, one of our 50 states. All right. Let's go to number 3. It says, how many nations, this is countries, have territory bordering or are inside the Arctic Circle? Okay, so now what you do is you go through here. Remember, countries are in all caps. Sometimes territories are owned by countries, and you'll find those in parentheses underneath those and those countries' names. Now the question is, how many nations have territory bordering or are inside the Arctic Circle? So we know, since the United States has a state in there, that the United States has a part of it, so there'd be 1. So go around this Arctic Circle, see what's on the inside and how many countries own area inside of this circle right here. All of these. I would look at the different colors. Remember the different colors on this map. It's a political map, so the different colors will show you the different countries' names. So look for the different colors. Figure out how many countries own land or own territories within that Arctic Circle, above it too, all the way to the North Pole. Let's go to number 4. The Mosaic expedition started in Troms, Norway. That city is about how many straight line miles from the North Pole? Okay, so we'll start at the North Pole, and we'll go here and put a corner down, your paper right here on the North Pole, line your paper up, draw a little hatch mark here, then find the scale. Scale's down here. And then see how many 400s you get out of it. And then if you have to add like a 200 or a 100, add them all up and then see how far it is between the North Pole and, I'm probably saying this wrong, Tromso or Troms. I know that's got a, this is, I don't know how to pronounce it. Okay, so anyway, it goes from here to here. How many straight line miles is that? About. Make sure you are checking this out with your map skills and not doing Google searches. If you do a Google search, you will not get credit for this. Let's look at number 5. What body of water separates Russia and Alaska at their closest point? Well, here's Alaska, and here's Russia. So you're going to look for the body of water that's in between Alaska and Russia. And you've had to find this before, so it will not be the first time that you found this. We've got another straight line miles question. It says, about how many straight line miles separate the North Pole and Anchorage, Alaska? Okay, so we're going from the North Pole to Anchorage, Alaska. And you do the same thing. You might want to put your corner of your paper here. I'm right-handed, so I like to do it that way. Put it on Anchorage, line it up to the North Pole, put a little mark on your paper, and then see how many 400s you get out of it. You'll be adding those up, and then however many pieces together. So how many straight line miles from Anchorage to the North Pole? Number 6 says, which 4 countries, so you got to name all 4 of them, have land north of the 80-degree north latitude line? Okay, so let's find the 80. Okay, so this is the 80 degrees line right here. So name the 4 countries that have land north of that. And keep thinking about what would be north. Now keep that in perspective in your mind. It's going to be a little different. Actually, the closer you are center to the map, the more north you are. Keep that in mind too. It's not at the top of the map is what we usually do. North is at the top or whatever, which I have seen some maps where the north is at the bottom, which is very confusing. But that don't happen very often. Does not happen very often. So what you're doing, remember the northernmost point is right here. So north of this line would be going toward that center section. So we want to know the 4 countries that own land within this circle right here, this section right there. Name all 4 of them. Make sure you capitalize because these are proper nouns. Number 8, in which direction would a person at the North Pole, keep this in mind, you're at the North Pole, travel to reach Russia? So you're going from the North Pole to Russia. What direction would that be? Keep this in mind that this is a different perspective. When you're at the North Pole, you're at the northernmost point. So any direction from that, remember what that would be. All right, let's look at number 9. What city is located at 71 degrees north, 156 degrees west? All right, so we're going to find the 71 degrees north. So here's 70. So now find out where 71 would be by drawing a little line around it if you'd like. Remember, you'll be going around a circle here. And then 156 degrees west. So you're going to have to look all the way around here. Well, there's 140 west and there's 160 west. So keep that in mind. What city, remember it's a city, it's not a country, is located at this point right here? And then number 10, what extent was the extent of Arctic sea ice greater in 1990 or 2020? So you look here at 1990 and at 2020, and then you just pick, it's either 1990 or it's 2020 had the most sea ice. So whichever one had the most sea ice, you'll either say it's 1990 or 2020. Good luck on this. If you need to watch this again, feel free to do that, and make sure you upload your answers to Scholastic when you're finished.